Yes, I can.
Okay.
And thank you, thank you. So my computer kept dropping the Wi-Fi,
Mm,
and so there's no cure to that,
Ours was doing that too earlier.
Right. So hopefully this will work. All right, so we are online now, and sorry everyone on Facebook and YouTube, but we're back, and so you heard the readings. What are your reactions to that? Should I put the readings back on?
Yes, please.
All right.
I
Okay.
mean, while you're doing that, Amjad, with the gospel, first of all, I do agree with you that this Lenten season has been a lot of very long gospels, and I know you're the one reading them every Sunday, but
The last one was a doozy.
it feels like we're trying to get through the entire Gospel of John within 40 days. But
Right.
uh, I
That's
think what I took out of this was obviously, in reading this, and I know personally, it always, what you're taking out of this passage is Lazarus come out, and that's what it's building towards, throughout the entire thing, building towards, Lazarus come out. But reading it again a couple times, what came out to me was just the faith that Mary and Martha have with Jesus, that they know that he is the one that can help them, and they know that, even they say, that he was dead when he comes, that he would, if you were here, Lord, we knew, you could help. So, just the amount of faith that both of them show, and that it is, in the end, they are the ones that he, specifically chose to help,
Mhm,
get this point across.
mhm, mhm.
So that was something that struck me, reading these passages again.
When Amjad mentioned these to me today, I was thinking about them and remembering the first time I heard a wonderful pastor named Floyd Grace preach on the Ezekiel passage. And he had the whole church in tears because he just brought out that, like, God can do the impossible. And our human condition is such we forget that and we lose hope and we get so down. But God can, with that spirit, he can like bring that new life. And then there's such that parallel to Lazarus, right? People are giving up. They're so sad, and Jesus comes and saves the day with that new life, which is so energizing, but it's so hard to remember, so, as Christians.
Mhm, mhm.
It
Yeah,
also,
no, that's
oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
no. I was just going to say that it definitely, it comes through that in just the different, people and characters within the gospel reading. That you have the faith of Mary and Martha, but you also have the people who had joined them at their house to, to hold the solemn, number of days and such. That when Mary went out with Martha to go see Jesus again, everyone else came with her because they thought she was going to just go to the tomb and weep. But she knew that she had to go to Jesus.
Right.
Anyone else who would like to thank you? This is good. Anyone else who'd like to reflect on that passage and then
Can I say one
yeah,
more
yeah,
thing?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It reminded me of that speaker we heard recently at the conference,
Mhm,
Reverend Michael Waldron, who had this phrase, acting for possibility, right? And I think these texts kind of have that.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So here's what I think about this reading from the Gospel of John. I think that yes, they had faith, but if we read into it, I mean, not read into it, but if we read it carefully, there's this thing where they have faith, but their faith stops at the point before death, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you were here, he would not have died, and saying that now that he's dead, I mean, you can cure the sick. We have seen you do that, right? You have just cured the blind person, but we have never seen you bring anyone back from the dead, right? And and uh, and it has been 4 days. So we have faith in you for doing up to this much, right?
Mhm.
And Jesus is kind of challenging that. And then it makes sense that Jesus is saying, I think I'm going to spend a little more time here before I go there, because they have been keeping faith in me, but their faith stops after a certain point, right? So they love each other, meaning that Mary, Martha, and Jesus, there's great love between them, but their their expectation is that if their brother was still alive, then Jesus could do something. Now, interestingly, God in the other passage, in the Old Testament passage, is saying, can these dead bones, which are dry now, there is nothing on them, there is no meat even on them, right? No muscles, nothing. They are dry now. Can they have life? Meaning that that's the far extent of death, right? Because even in the case of Lazarus, it was 4 days. But in this case, who knows for how long these bones, the people whose bones these are, have been dead. And so the question is, can some situation where there is complete hopelessness, and I'm going to quote Reverend Walren, I really like some of the expressions he used. And he talks about this passage a lot from the gospel. And he talks about it as Jesus goes there, and then he says, you would all agree with me that it's a dead situation. Right? So it's a dead situation, meaning there is nothing but death there, and dead also in the sense that their faith cannot cross a certain threshold.
Mm.
And Jesus comes in and says, all right, we're going to push this envelope big time. And uh, and Martha cannot accept that, essentially. And Martha, even Jesus reaches out to him and says to her, I mean, yeah, my, you know, I am the resurrection and life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives believes in me. You know, and Jesus is saying to her, look, if you really believed in this, you would believe in possibilities. And the angle that Mike Walren has is that when Jesus is standing there, if we think of him as God, then everything is possible, right? But if we think of him as fully human, then just imagine the faith Jesus has in the Father, right? That Jesus stands there, and imagine the amount of faith it would take when you are surrounded by people, they're all watching you, and you then have to say, Lazarus, come out.
Mm.
That takes a lot of faith, right? That takes a lot of faith. And so I really enjoy that. And I think for us, if we start thinking about it, how it applies to us today, um, you know, we really should be thinking about all the times when we put limitations on our faith,
Mm.
that God can help us this much, but obviously beyond that God won't be able to do it, right?
Mhm.
uh, but imagine the limitlessness of the possibilities with God, how God can actually um, come into a situation and make these completely dead, dry bones come back to life. And if there are situations in our life where that is happening.
Isn't that kind of happening now?
Yeah, say more about that, Julie.
I mean, isn't that kind of like in two respects? I mean, everyone is shut up in their homes, no one is out and about, and it's kind of like our society, the world, I mean, multiple, every country, people are in that lockdown situation. It's
Hmm.
like the dried bones, but God is, through us being shut away in our homes and being, able to spend time with our loved ones and create memories and take time and not have to rush somewhere. There's like new possibility and new life.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
And you even see, Julie, how many people are just outside, just doing the little things that we can do together, going for walks,
Hmm.
just so many people walking dogs. Like it's just, you can't go anywhere outside without passing two or three, families with dogs.
Right. And
So,
everybody's waving. Everyone waves now. Every car that drives by, before they wouldn't even notice you if you were walking your dog. Now everyone waves.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like, I wonder if the thought is, there's another person. I haven't seen another person in how many days, or, you're valuable. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I have been thinking about it. How is it going to shape our society? I often think about how is it going to shape our how is it going to shape our uh, church, but also our society. I think you're absolutely right that it might have the potential for people to start putting value back in to relationships, you know?
Mm. Hmm.
Um, yeah, absolutely.
And even think about the world at large. Factories are not running. There's less pollution occurring right now. It's almost like the earth is taking a exhale,
Mhm.
Hmm.
like those dried bones, new life being put back into them.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a different way of thinking about this whole thing, isn't it? You
I
know,
guess. Yeah.
because, yeah, because we are so focused on the disruption that it has caused, right? We are so focused on, and this is a very interesting point because I often think that I think mostly around church because that's where my location is, right? Uh, and I often think that most of the ways that we think about church is in a certain way, right?
Mhm.
And that's all we can think the church to be. For us to actually think either left or right or up or down from our concept of church is extremely hard. And so the dry bones are staying dry because we cannot think of a church that can be any different,
Mm.
right?
Yep.
And we just think of it in one way, and then we keep lamenting that that one way is no longer relevant. And and why is it not relevant? Well, if it's not relevant, then can there be another different possibility and a different way of thinking about it? So I was sharing it with someone. I've been on calls with a lot of priests in the last few days, and someone asked me, so how are you doing? Like how are things in your church? What ministries did you have to shut down and all that? And I said, frankly, we haven't missed a beat there. We have taken everything online. So our small groups are meeting online, our Bible studies are meeting online, our office building is closed, but our office is open. She's working from home, same phone number, same email address, and everything is exactly working the same way. In fact, if anything, we have become a lot more active. We
Mm,
have just formed more, a whole new thing called the neighborhood care groups. And some of the leaders are really using very imaginative ways of connecting with people there. You know, and so if anything else, we are looking at this from a different perspective, that this is an opportunity to do a number of things. First of all, reclaim the sense of relationship, and secondly, be open to thinking about church in a different way. And Chris and I were talking about it before about the Sunday and the viewership, and if there were 60 people on 60 entries into Facebook last week, that means our family size is about 2.6. So that 150 people joining us and participating, that's like 50% more than our average Sunday attendance,
mm,
right? And so can we actually think of this as God actually saying, why do you wish to only limit yourself in one way of being church? Why is it so important to be just one way of church? Why can't you push yourselves and that thing that we heard on that Saturday, the whole God of possibilities? Why can't you have that passion for possibility and start thinking outside the box and see, I you will be surprised, I might bless you. And so I was sharing with
mm,
the priest that we have these neighborhood care groups, and we are hoping that this would extend beyond our church members, and that our church members will leave, little handwritten notes on their neighbors' doors and encourage them to, talk to each other and maybe join these groups, and we can really begin to reach out to people in our neighborhoods. And so this guy is a really funny guy. Another priest, in his background were all these trophies, and so he says, "Hey, take one of those trophies. This is for you." It was like it was like, wow, we never thought of this time as a time of possibilities. We never thought of this time as a time of becoming more active and really believing that these dead, dry bones can actually have life.
mhm,
And so absolutely think about it from the environment perspective. I never thought that this is when the good earth is getting some relief.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, we're not just taking from it constantly, like
Yeah.
it's not just being used for what we can get from it. Now it's able to take an exhale and just be left alone for a little while.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
maybe that's what the animals need. Maybe that's what the air quality needs. I mean, there's so many, everybody thinks, what they're missing out on or what they can't get to, or but there are lots of healing things happening. Like I made dinner tonight and I thought to myself, wow, this is going well. Why do I feel so relaxed? Normally if I'm making dinner on a weeknight, I'm feeling stressed to the max about all the things I still have to do after dinner, like give Allison a bath, get her in her jammies, put her to bed, do schoolwork, laundry. But tonight, I don't have any of those things to really worry about. And so I'm more focused in the present, which was making dinner. And that I think for me was like eye opening because I'm often in the future. I'm often 10 steps ahead thinking about everything that's still yet to come, and I'm missing out on what's happening in that moment. So that was an eye opener and a gift from this time, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think that's so true. It's like learning to look at every situation you're in, trying to find the blessing in it.
Mm,
Um, and it's so easy to focus on the negative. I mean, so how do you be compassionate to the people, all the suffering that's really happening, right? But while
mm.
also being open to a possibility of blessing in the midst of that.
Absolutely.
And also one of the things that we were talking about during our you were having a very similar discussion on our Bible study this weekend, that how do we ensure that, kind of tying into this the first reading, that we don't go back to being the dry bones at the end of this. How do
Mm.
we take what we've learned from all this and carry it forward so that, when we don't have to be online all the time and we can interact in person, how do we make sure that, we can find the positives and pull those through, be it, connecting with each other in different ways, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You know what I'm so enjoying is watching um, Chris, your dog, participate, and Gracie over there participate, and Ellie had to be told to go to the other room because she was really wanting to vocally participate, and I heard Barbara, your dog, also wanting to participate,
Oh,
and
Jerry already watched Jeff say mass earlier today. He's watched it like the last 2 or 3 days intently
yeah,
while it was being put online. And I was like absolutely amazed by it. I don't know if he recognized the voice or what, but he's been blowing me out of the water. Like he gets prepared for when it goes online.
yeah.
So
Someone asked me, "How are you guys doing? How's everything?" I said, "Well, uh, Molly is has transformed because she doesn't care for technology at all, and I'm watching her teach using her laptop, Google Hangout, and she is even thinking of making videos of herself to help her get the lessons across. And so I'm finding a totally transformed wife, uh, and uh, we are making dinner. We decided we're just going to cook ourselves. So we are having the best food, and wondering why we ever go out. And the best part is that Ellie thinks that something really wonderful has happened, because my whole tribe is now with me all the time, and she is in her super behavior, so yeah, if you ask Ellie, she is like, could we do this all the time, and so
Lily feels the same way,
yeah,
that,
right,
she's got all her girls home all day, so
yeah,
and
yeah,
so do my guys. They're like loving it.
yeah, yeah. So there is something beautiful in everything. Yeah, yeah. So we are at 8:15. We did get about 15 minutes of disruption, but I think this conversation, just like the dry bones and the disruption with that, has been beautiful. So, but we should keep the time limit. So, can I ask Ron? Ron, can you read the Psalm 130? If you could kindly just read Psalm 130 for us, and that we will consider as a closing prayer, if that's okay with you.
Sure. Of the depths have I called you, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears consider well the voice of my supplication. If you, Lord, were to note what is done amiss, O Lord, who could stand? For there is forgiveness with you, therefore you shall be feared. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits for him. In his word is my hope. My soul waits for the Lord, more than watchmen for the morning, more than watchmen for the morning. O Israel, wait for the Lord, for with the Lord there is mercy. With him there is plenteous redemption, and he shall redeem Israel from all their sins.
Thank you all so much
Mm-hmm.
for joining once again. And I think our next week's Lenten reflection, hopefully, the technology will have a better operator doing it. And hopefully it will work better. But next week we'll meet again at 7:15 and then go live on 7:30. Next week will be our last of the Lenten reflections. I can't believe that we are already at the end of Lent almost. And then hope to see anyone who's watching us at 9 a.m. on Sunday. This Sunday is going to be slightly different because we are partnering with another church, St. Thomas in Bethel, and St. Thomas Episcopal Church, and the Reverend Norma Schmidt will be preaching. So I will be presiding and over the Eucharist, and she will be preaching from her location. So we decided to partner up because we are humans and we can only do so much. And so we decided we should take this opportunity to actually bring all these congregations together, at least two or three congregations together. So she wanted to try this out, so we're going to try it out this coming Sunday and see how we can be two different congregations but one church. All right. So God bless everyone, and thank you again for participating in this wonderful conversation tonight.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Good
Good night.
night.